Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the Women of Color in Business Global podcast. Today we have a very lovely expert guest, Sue Pass with New Beginnings. We're going to begin by letting Sue introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her and what she does.
Hi, really, it is a blessing to be in your studio. I'm Supats, excited to be over here. I'm a Supats lifelong solopreneur. But hey, past few years I have been a digital solopreneur, entrepreneur, and now small business owner. Excited to be over here. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Sue, tell us a little bit about how you first got started in your solopreneur journey.
Oh, it was a while back. I was a careerist and we had a really double income, no kids lifestyle, and we were thoroughly enjoying it. And business was far away from my mind. The moment I got my first kid, everything changed
Mm,
because it was very hard for her to leave to a babysitter and go to work, and she would cry, cry, cry. And I wanted to work from home, and that time remote working was not that common. Even though I
yeah.
was into technology, it was not that common. I kept on asking, and somehow my company was not ready for it. I kept on asking other people, it was not that prominent. Then I wanted to quit my job, but you cannot just quit job like that because we had bought a house, so there was a mortgage and no new kid and and the responsibilities were increasing and inflation was going high. And I live in California, so hey,
Yes,
so
cost of living there.
yeah, so I had to find something that I can work from home and still help my family. And that time the solopreneurship was the only option, and I explored many. Some businesses went on really well, some businesses not so good, but they were really good learning experience. So you name it, I tried many, and realized one thing: the common principles are same. Whatever business you do, the mindset and positive thinking, everything is needed for any kind of business. So whether you have a brick and mortar business or digital business, I think principles are the same. So,
Mm.
yeah, I had a placement firm. I placed people for jobs. I had a computer consulting firm. I was also into network marketing, and I was bedridden. So after that, I just thought I got a bonus life and I wanted to devote my bonus life for solopreneurs. So I just wanted to give resources to solopreneurs. So I started blogging because I thought that was the best way I can provide free resources to solopreneurs. And then I kept on changing and adding offers based on the feedback. So whatever feedback I got from my audience, I just created offers accordingly because I just wanted to serve them. It is basically serving your audience, not serving your ego.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Mm.
that created a win-win situation because that gave me satisfaction and also kept my audience happy. It has
Okay.
been a really nice journey. Loved it.
Okay, I like that. Serving your audience and not your ego. I like the way you said you created offers and you listened to the feedback from your audience and then you changed things. So it's like you weren't set in, oh, this is what I want to work. You were really listening and going back and pivoting and changing things to fit the feedback you were receiving.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now, when we talk about enterprise and digital entrepreneurship, what does that mean to you?
I love it because at this level, no, I'm really not doing any business for financial gain. But no doubt about it, my offering. Oh, okay. I have no idea. My speaker has been kept on changing. Just a minute. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. It went out for a second.
Yeah, I think my default, okay, default audio had changed. I have no idea why.
Okay.
So, so Okay, so where you so digital entrepreneurship, where the digital entrepreneurship stand. So digital entrepreneurship means basically no, at this point I'm not doing business for financial gain. No doubt there is a financial gain needed because initially I started business just to provide everything to solopreneurs for free. But at that point I realized one thing, that when you provide things for free, people don't appreciate it because it what happens, they get it for free, then they put it on the shelf and they think, oh, okay, okay, I will look at it later, and they don't take action. But
Uh,
when they pay money or pay any kind of resources, when they pay attention, they get the transformation. So that's the reason I'm putting actually any kind of energy exchange behind my offerings. But I want the flexibility because my husband loves to travel. So I want to have the flexibility, and I want people to whom I am help, they want to achieve their goals. So some people want more time back in their life, some people want more money. So whatever their goal, I want to reach. And unless I reach that goal, I cannot help them achieve that goal. So that's why means basically digital entrepreneurship really helps because then it frees you up. Because when you have brick and mortar business, if, for example, if you open a McDonald's and if some people don't come to work, you may have to go and flip the burgers. So,
mm,
but if it is in the digital business, if you put everything in the automation and if you have proper settings done tech wise, you can keep on creating revenue on ongoing basis. So even if you are while asleep or you are doing a vacation or if you're not working, still the money keeps on coming in. And I heard it and I learned it really hard way because I had a dry months when I didn't make any money. But now I have months so that I can make money every day, every hour because of all the work which I did before and because of the automations I set. So even if I can go on vacation, I can take full break or I can just work maybe 1 or 2 hours per week, and still my community is happy and still I see the revenue coming in. So that's the power of digital business, and
okay.
it's really amazing.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it gives you flexibility because you're able to work from anywhere,
Yeah.
able to work at any time, and even when you're sleeping, you can be earning money.
Yes.
So, what are some examples of a digital business?
So digital business means anything which you can provide to your audience on digital download. That download can happen on your laptop or on your cell phone or iPad. So it can be an e-course or it can be ebook or it can be any audio training, video training, anything. But I think the magic is in you. When you touch your audience's heart, that time the connection happens and that time the conversion happens. So if you keep on providing digital downloads without any soul or heart behind it, it is just the material. But when you provide the material with your heart in it, it creates transformation, and it can be actually happening in various ways.
Okay. Okay, so how do you help an entrepreneur who's a digital entrepreneur? So if someone has, say, a online course they want to offer, and to your point, it could be bought and downloaded any time of the day, any day of the week. They don't have to be present for the sale to happen, but they need to have be giving quality. So if they come to you and say, I have this online course, but I'm not getting any traction, what would be your steps in advising that business person?
See, for anything, even to sell to happen or some traction to happen, it is a mindset game. Because unless you are convinced, you cannot pass your conviction to your audience's mind. So if you are creating an offer, make sure it is totally value added. It is really full of value. For example, if you are creating a course and you know you have put the value worth of $5,000 worth of resources in it, then you won't have any hesitation to sell that course for $2,000, because then you know what value is there. And then you don't have any hesitation, because what happens sometimes, people hesitate because they are not sure about their own offerings. See now, for example, I have offerings. For example, like I help people launch their digital products on fast track so that they can start making money immediately. And when they want to scale, they join my membership. And when they want to sell globally, I have a group of affiliates who are willing to sell their products all over the world using their expertise. Now, at the launch phase, I'm just going to explain it to you. I saw people suffering creating lead magnet for 6 months. I
Mm,
saw people spending years and years creating one e-course. I saw solopreneurs quitting their business before launching their first product. I saw entrepreneurs not seeing second year in their business. So now when I offer my various offers, for example, done for you offer, when I offer, I'm giving them 1 year back minimum into their life.
mm,
Why should I hesitate? Because you can make money if you lose, but if you lose time, you're not going to recreate that time. So I have no hesitation in giving that offer, because I saw people suffering. I saw how much challenges they face. I have seen everything, and I personally went through that. So whenever I create any offer, if I can sell it to myself, I can surely share it with other people, because I know what I'm providing them. If for creating one lead magnet, if they're spending 6 months, and if I'm giving that lead magnet to them within 6 hours, they're getting
mm.
6 months of life back. And
Wow.
that is so precious, because life is running so fast. It is amazing. And even for membership, I'll say my membership is loaded with like a $50,000 worth of resources. I got it evaluated from third party agencies, and they said I can surely charge 199 per month for the membership. In spite of that, I'm charging one fourth of that amount. I'm not charging 199 per month. I'm charging one fourth. So I know they are getting the best possible deal in the market. There is nothing like that, because my membership is like a three, four memberships combined in one. It is a holistic experience. So why should I hesitate? Because I know how much transformation it can bring into their life. No, third one I mentioned about the global sales. People want to start a business, but they don't want to do sales and marketing.
Mm.
And okay, that is your life, that is your prerogative. You want to be in business, you don't want to do sales and marketing. Okay,
Yeah.
then I'll give you the affiliates army who are willing to do sales for you. So you can focus on the things which you love to do, we are passionate about, and you can still keep on creating revenue by giving nominal portion of your revenue as a commission to affiliates. So it is a really win-win-win situation. So whenever you see any kind of win-win-win situation, you should jump in it, because every party who is involved in that transaction should win. And it is not just noble, but it is creating good karma even for you.
Mm,
Then
mm,
you are going to get back what you are giving to the universe, but you are
mm,
going to get multifold back, and you are going to get the same thing back, and you are going to get it later. You are not going to get it immediately. So that is how, that is the law of sowing and reaping. And it
mm,
is true in each and every case. Means you cannot sow a mustard seed and waiting for corn to come. It's not gonna happen. Whatever you sow, you shall reap. You will reap after certain amount of time, and you will reap multiple of that.
mm. Very good. You said a lot of good things there. One thing you said was making sure that you can quantify the value you're giving because the concept of saving people 6 months down to 6 hours, that's real because especially as solopreneurs, we're trying to learn everything. We're trying to learn how to do the marketing. We're trying to learn how to do all the things in the business that are necessary when really we have only one core genius. So it's going to take us, most of the time, it takes us a lot longer than if we had a team with us, right? If we had a team that specialized in every area, that would be a different experience. So
I
to have
totally
the
agree with you
resource,
because totally agree with you because solopreneurs they wear many many hats.
yes,
And I also say that solopreneurs quit their 40 hours worth of job to work into their own business and they end up working 80 hours.
yes,
And
yes.
they see the burnout. But I also see the most solopreneurs, they wear the low value hat. Because as a solopreneur, you wear many hats. You wear CEO hat, CFO hat, you are admin, you are graphic designer, you are
Mm,
marketer, you are everything.
everything, yes.
But when you start your day, if you start your day by doing the things you are comfortable doing it, at the end of the day, you are not going to achieve much. You have to start your day by wearing your CEO hat, the
Mm,
most important hat, the most valuable hat.
hmm.
And then the rest of the things, whether they are done or not, but at the end of the day, you feel productive because you achieved the most important thing in your business.
Hmm.
Otherwise, miss you, if you just keep on doing things you are comfortable with, then at the end of the day, you won't achieve much and you will also feel horrible. Oh my goodness, I wasted full day.
Yes.
So
That's a great point because we have to prioritize what we're doing. And to your point, it can't be doing the easy things because there are enough small things to take up a full day, but they're not the things that are going to drive your business forward. So I like what you shared about when you make an offer, make sure that you're giving value and you can quantify that value. So if I know what I'm giving to my customer, it's worth $5,000, then I have no problem charging 2,500 for it because I know they're getting twice as much, you know, if they utilize it. Makes a lot of sense. Um, and I also like the concept that you brought up about being able to connect businesses with affiliates. So if a solopreneur doesn't want to do the marketing or doesn't feel like they're strong in marketing, you can connect them with an affiliate that can do that function for their business.
yeah, absolutely. And even some solopreneurs, they spend years and years in creating one product. So no, I have a products which are like a private label rights products or master resell right products. They can take and they can run with them and they can start generating revenue within their first week. I have case studies, they generated 4K in their first week.
Mm,
So, and at the most, they can take like a month or 3 months to generate the revenue. They don't have to keep on waiting for years and years. And we also work on collaboration because I haven't seen any solopreneur starting a business with thousands of dollars sitting in their bank to invest
mm.
into their business. So if they choose the strategy of advertisements, they can drain their money so fast. So
Yes,
instead of
yes.
that, you do the collaboration, you borrow other people's audiences, and it is a win-win situation for everyone because you will have some kind of collaboration, so agreement. So it's not necessarily always the money exchange, but it can be cross promotion, various kinds of agreements you can do. You create a win-win situation, you borrow other people's audiences, and that will help everyone. You find a complementary business, you collaborate with them. There's so many great strategies. I really don't want any solopreneur or entrepreneur to be suffering because all these are really simple strategies. But I can't say they are easy because anything, something new, which they are not used to doing it, they will have some hesitation to start that. So they are simple, but they are not easy. They are not easy only because of their mindset. But
Ah,
if they set their mindset, okay, for example, if I want to collaborate with you, you have only two answers, right? Yes or no. So no can be not right now or maybe later, or it is a clear no, whatever it is. But once you know, it is still it is a beneficial. It is for both parties because sometimes it may not be the complementary business, so we may not be able to collaborate. our strategies might be different, but still it is a win because we are saving each other's time.
Mm,
And if it is a yes, of course, then we'll go ahead, we will work with each other and we'll help each other. Yeah, we'll grow our businesses.
wonderful. I love that. Collaboration and using other people's audience.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I was telling that even our president is collaborating with Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
So as a small business owner, why can't we collaborate?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting into politics whether it is good or bad, but you see many businesses, even big businesses, they collaborate. They
Mm-hmm.
collaborate means Google is so big, but they are collaborating with so many people. Again, I'm not telling whether their strategies are good or bad or ugly. Mm, I'm not going into that. I'm just talking about just plain simple collaboration.
Right. The act of collaboration in businesses of all sizes. So when we look at innovative marketing strategies, tell us a bit about your success or the usefulness of AI tools and how they can save time for the solopreneur.
AI is a really, really great tool, but again, it is a tool. It's not going to replace you because I heard from so many people, will AI take my job?
Mhm,
No, AI is a tool and it will make you more productive. Yeah, means for example, copywriting is my weak point. I am not really great a copywriter.
mhm,
But I am a writer. I love to write, I love to blog, but I'm not a copywriter.
mhm,
So how can I use AI? For example, I can create AI, I can create the framework with AI, but again, I will put my strategies and my words into it. And English is my third language. So then I can use AI to refine my writing. So it will
mm,
be, my writing will be better, my spelling mistakes will be corrected, my grammar will be corrected. So it is a tool. You cannot depend on AI 100%
right, right.
because it your brain, your strategy has to come into it. And AI is also as good as prompt you give. And the prompt comes from your brain, your heart, your strategy. So it how smartly you use AI that defines you because some people are totally completely dependent on AI and some people are totally against AI. I think you should take a balanced approach and you just know what your weaknesses are and just try to see how you can use AI to basically cover your weaknesses and you become a better person. And it's not just I'm talking about AI, but even for AI for automation, because when I was talking about the passive income,
Mhm,
so when I'm on vacation, I don't want to sit and write my emails. I can have my email campaign ready. I go on vacation and then AI will keep on actually sending depending on whatever the time I have set. So I may forget, but AI won't forget. So
uh-huh.
there are pros and cons of either me and AI, but when it is like a marriage. So when both of you are together, hey, you can be perfect. Just as one, you are not perfect. But
Right.
when both of you are together, yeah, you can be close to perfect. I don't know whether you will be totally perfect, but you can be close to
You
perfect.
can
You
be
can be a
close to
better
it.
version. So I can give you examples after examples about AI, but this is I just wanted to give you in brief that it is a tool. You know your weaknesses and you make use of AI so that you are addressing your weaknesses and you're working on your strength. You form a marriage and then you create a package in such a way so that it is a better version of yourself and even better version of AI.
Okay. Wonderful. So, Sue, what was your first digital business when you got started as a solopreneur?
First, digital business. Yeah, this is just my third year in the business. And I would say first couple of years are basically just trials and errors.
Ah,
Yeah, and we just, okay, we see, okay, someone is doing really good. So then we try to follow their model. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't work. So then we just hit a brick wall and then
uh-huh.
we pivot and then we go somewhere else and all. So my first digital business, basically, I love to create. I love to create. I have a technology background. I have masters in computer science. So I love to create. So creation was not at all a problem for me. So I just could go on anything, Figma or Canva and all. I can keep on creating digital products. So I created lots of digital products. Like I created journals, planners, and various things, ebooks, lots of, because I love to blog. I love to
Uh-huh.
blog spiritual thing. So actually, I have written 7 books and all. And so those are my first digital products. But again, I kept on changing depending on the feedback. First, I started blogging because I thought that is the best way I can provide free resources to the solopreneurs because they don't have much money to invest. They want to perform their business on shoestring budget. So, so blogging, and my blog started getting lots of traction. People said, "We love your blogs. We don't have time to read your blogs. Why don't you start podcasting?" So I started podcasting. They wanted YouTube channel because they said when we have time we can watch your videos. This was the last thing into my mind because English is my third language. I still have heavy accent. I
Mhm.
didn't want to talk to anybody. I always had this notion that I don't know whether people will understand me what I'm talking.
Mm.
So I never wanted to get on podcast. I never wanted to get on YouTube or TikTok because I saw TikTok, everybody is dancing and all these
Yes.
are teenagers, they're dancing and I say,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I'm not going on TikTok and dancing. I'm not a teenager and all. But then I realized, okay, if my audience wants it, I will do it. And it's not necessary. I have to dance to deliver the value. I I'm here to deliver value. I'm
Mm.
here to change their life. I'm here to transform their life. And for that, I don't need my audience doesn't want me to dance.
There you
So
go.
yeah, so I can deliver value by any other means. And then I saw even some grandmas delivering great values on TikTok. I say, okay, so now I have many YouTube channels. I have travel YouTube channel. I have various business YouTube channels and all just because I created based on needs, based on feedback. People wanted it and I created it. So that is how my digital journey started.
Okay. Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
all the offers I started depending on the scene. For example, I mentioned before that okay, lead magnet can be created in 6 hours instead of 6 months because I saw people suffering. And then I saw people suffering. For example, I started designing my e-course like 3 years back, and I created my e-course within few months, and I delivered it. And at the same time, my husband's friend was also starting an e-course. And now, every time we get together, I asked him, Ashwin, how far your course has come? And he always said, oh, it is coming up, it is coming up. So 3 years passed by. He still hasn't finished his e-course. So that's why then I created private label rights products and master select products so that people don't have to spend so much of time in creating them. They have some basic foundational structure, and on top of that, they can sprinkle their magic. They can rebrand and they can sell and they can share with their audience and they can create revenue.
Ah, that's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful idea. So, um, I like that concept, a white label product that they can take and customize, as opposed to taking 3 years to create it from scratch, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge in being a solopreneur?
Yeah, my biggest challenge means I wanted to do everything.
Hmm.
I wanted to do everything and I never wanted to take a break. I just,
Mhm.
yeah, I was one of those that I
A
quit 40 hours
workaholic.
of job to work 80 hours. And even it's not like in my digital business, even when I had my computer consulting, means I would actually start a dish on a stove. I'll come running to my office and see the output of my whatever coding I had done. And it was crazy. It was crazy. So I had to learn how to have a work life balance. And you won't
Mm.
believe who taught me my work life
Who,
balance.
who taught you that?
Yeah, means my family told me all the time, my husband, my kids told me all the time. but I did not listen to them. But I have a pet, and my cat. So my cat would actually come to my office if it is dark in the evening,
Uh-huh.
and my cat would say that all my family members are in the family room watching TV, and I'm the only one sitting in my office and working.
Uh-huh.
He would sit at the door and keep on meowing till I'm working on the office, and the moment I'm done working, and when I come to family room and sit with my family, he would stop meowing. So my
Oh.
cat taught me work-life balance, and I wrote that article on LinkedIn that my cat taught me work-life balance, and that was a hit article, and
Uh-huh.
people couldn't believe. I said, and my cat doesn't let me work over weekend.
Oh,
And
wow.
my family was telling me for years I didn't listen to my family, but no, my cat just sits and meows and doesn't actually stop meowing until I leave the office.
Wow.
And
That's a
now
very
I'm
interesting
really happy
story.
because it really means I'm telling the principle to other people that okay, sharpen your axe, take breaks, and you should rejuvenate and refresh and all. And I was not doing that.
Yes,
But
yes.
no, my cat forced me to do that. It is really funny story.
It
And I
is.
was not even ready for having any pet, but my daughter gave me ultimatum. So we got the pet in our house. And my husband and I, we were totally against pet, but we said, hey, we love our daughter more than our whatever fear we have about our pets. So the pets came and they changed our life.
Oh,
So my
wow.
daughter always says, when she becomes a president, she will make a rule that every family will have two pets in their house, because according to her, all the problems in this world are because of unhappiness. And when you have a pet in your life, the happiness comes automatically, because the pet's only job, whether it is cat or dog, whatever pet you have, is to make your master happy. So she says that when people are happy, they won't opt in for crime.
Mm.
When they are happy at their heart, they will help each other out. They
Mm.
won't try to hurt someone else. And she said the crime rate will go down. She said, once I become a president, that is my rule. And her second rule is she's going to declare chocolate as a fruit so that everybody can have a chocolate.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's make her president now. I totally agree with that. Chocolate is one of my favorite. It heals everything. Wonderful, wonderful. I really like the way your daughter thinks. So you have one pet now? You have two pets?
Yeah, I have two pets. Yeah.
Are they both cats?
Yeah, both cats. Actually, initially we wanted a puppy, but then, yeah, my daughter thought cats are easier. And
Yeah,
initially, then one cat came, but then we thought that cat is getting lonely. So then we got the second one.
got it.
Yeah. And
Got it.
initially there was a rough time introducing them each other. But then, hey, I disciplined my kids. So then it was very easy for me to discipline my cats. Because
Uh-huh.
what happened, it was very funny story. They couldn't, my daughter couldn't introduce them each other. And then one cat would be in one room, other cat will be in another room. And she said, no, no, no. If I have both them together, they will fight and they will kill each other. I'm not going to do that. So then one weekend she was gone with her friends. So
Uh-huh.
what I did, I just released both of them together. I said, okay, whatever you want to do, do. You want to fight, do whatever. And the moment they started fighting with each other, I was with a water spray bottle.
Uh-huh.
And then I sprayed water on them. So I think they fought with each other for first day. Second day, they stopped fighting.
Uh-huh.
And third day, they were the best friends of each other.
Oh, wow.
And by the time my daughter came, she couldn't believe the transformation, because she was so worried. 2 weeks she kept on trying, putting one in one room, one in another room, and giving food to them, and just
Separate
shutting the door
rooms.
all the time. And
Uh-huh.
now they are best friends, and everything changed. I said, hey, I disciplined you. I disciplined cats too. And No, they are the best friends. So I
There
have
you
so many
go.
funny stories. I was on a pet podcast and I spoke for 45 minutes, and my family couldn't believe it because I was so much against pets. And they say, "You spoke 45 minutes on pets?" I say, "Yeah, I did."
Wonderful. So transforming solopreneurs and transforming cats. So what if you had to say the best advice you ever received, what would it be as a
the,
solopreneur?
the best advice I received is to have a mentor, especially the mentor which where you want to go to that particular path, because there can be many mentors, but there will be some mentors which will be totally aligned to your vision, and you want to have that kind of life or that kind of principles in your life. Yeah, then basically get into their back pocket. And it's really good to learn from your own mistakes, but better to learn from somebody else's mistakes. So
Yes.
when you have a mentor, you learn from somebody else's mistakes so that your learning curve is really short.
Mm,
And also, mentor looks at your blind spots, because you cannot look at everything. Yeah, so your mentor looks at your blind spots, and it's always advisable to have a great mentor in your back pocket, and you be into its back pocket and just help each other out. I think that is the way it can save your time, money, energy, every kind of resources. But
wonderful.
make sure it is, I mean, you have the same values, you are aligned to them. And your mentor is not your some people say your mentor is your best friend, but I won't say that. Friends are good, yeah, they are helping you and all, but friends basically make you feel comfortable.
Mm,
Mentor may not make you feel comfortable, because you grow only when you get out of your comfort zone.
mm,
So mentor may not make you feel comfortable, but mentor will help you. Mentor will
right.
help you big way, and that is what I would say. And there are many other things I can say, that okay, get into community of the like-minded people, because if you want to catch a cold, associate with people who have already cold. We learned that in COVID, right? So
Right.
yeah, if you want to become a bank robber, associate with bank robber. But hey, if you want to become successful entrepreneur, associate with successful entrepreneurs, find a community, so that you see other people are having similar challenges, how they overcome the challenges, and you can overcome those challenges. So the community is so important, and that is what actually keeps you alive, you in the business, because only one solopreneur understands other solopreneur, neither their friends nor their family.
Yes,
Because
yes.
as I mentioned before, when I was working Saturday afternoon for my meetings, my friends would be going for shopping and party, and they said, "Oh no, I have a meeting." How can you have a meeting on Saturday afternoon? And I couldn't explain to them.
Mm,
And even oh yeah, for example, if I have something going on even on the weekend or late night, my husband would come and ask, "Why are you working right now?" So I, of course, I don't want it to be my regular occurrence, but once in a while, if it happens, I couldn't explain it to him that, see, I'm doing this to create more choices in your life. I
mm.
couldn't explain it to that. But one solopreneur understands other solopreneur. So it's always associate with successful solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, so that they will understand your challenges, and you also know what they have gone through and how they overcame the challenges. And yeah, means basically you will help each other out.
Wonderful. I love that. So have a mentor so you can learn from their mistakes and you can shorten your learning curve and associate with the community that is a like community so they understand what you're going through. That really speaks to me because that's one of the primary reasons I started my podcast because as a solopreneur, I needed to find, people who were going through the same experience that I could glean, or what was your journey like, or how did you handle this, or did you make this same mistake? And, how can I not make, more mistakes? And just having that information of their stories and their candid journey really helps a lot. So I definitely resonate with that. So since,
Really applaud you starting podcast, really, because I really met the best quality people in podcasting journey.
yes,
It
yes,
is a totally different level of entrepreneurship. It's
yes.
really amazing. Means really elite crowd. I just cannot believe it. I think that my best connections happened in my on my podcasting journey.
Yes,
I totally
definitely.
agree with you.
Definitely. So since we've heard the best advice you ever received, what would you categorize as the worst advice you ever received? Because we know we can be around people who are opinionated, who may or may not be in business, but they have very strong opinions about what we're doing or what we should do and how we should do it. So what would you categorize as the worst advice you've received?
To be speaking frankly, I don't remember any worst advice
Okay.
because I frame my mind in such a way that I focus on positive and let go of negative or let go of the things which are not useful to me.
Hmm.
And even if I think too much about what's the worst advice, I won't categorize that as a worst advice because I still want to give them benefit of doubt
Uh-huh.
because whatever advice they are giving might be with the best intention.
Right.
Yeah, but it may not be the best advice for you. For example, when someone starts a business, their family members might be worried that if they fail in the business, they will be hurt. So they may give the advice that why are you starting a business? You have a secure job, just focus on the job and all. You can categorize that as a worst advice, no doubt about it, because it is not aligned to your dream or your goal.
Uh-huh.
But from their point of view, they are trying to protect you. So I really don't want to label anything like that.
Got
And
it.
I am so much actually believe in God and universe and creator and higher power and all. So according to me, everything is a blessing.
Mm.
Everything is a blessing. You know, there are only two kinds of people in my life: the people who love me and people who teach me.
I like that.
So,
I like that.
means basically, even if someone is fighting with me or all, I will try to find what I can learn from them. Yeah, because life is too short, and I really feel everyone is coming into my life to teach me something.
Got it.
So it's really, everything is a blessing. Everything is a blessing. Whatever happens is a blessing, and I always say that. If it goes my way, it is really well and good. But if it doesn't go my way, then it is going by God's way, then it is even better
Mm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
Really, we just now came from Washington, D.C., and the Washington, D.C., we were there for like 1.5 weeks and all. And we went there for one intention. Basically, I wanted to see one of my family members. And that
Uh-huh.
was the main reason we went there. And we did everything except we couldn't see the family member, that family member.
Really?
Yeah, I have no idea something or other happened. I have no idea why it happened and all. We tried everything from our point of view and all. So, no, for me, everything is a blessing, means if it goes my way, it is perfectly fine. But if it doesn't go my way, it is even better because it is going by God's way and God knows better for my life because the same God is within me and within you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hurt yourself, actually, you're not just hurting yourself, you are hurting even the God within you. So you have no right to hurt yourself because you have no right to hurt the Creator. So everything is a blessing. And if you look at everything as a blessing, life is so beautiful. It is really,
Mm.
really beautiful.
Okay, I love the way you reframe that. So, in being, when we talk about collaborating, what would you say has been one of your great collaborative experiences?
There are many collaborative experiences. They worked out well for me. But the best experience for budding solopreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, I can just say it like freebie swaps or bundle or summits and all. These are the opportunities. They are available for free. They are available for free, and you can participate into them, and you can create your audience, your subscriber base. Social media is great, but you don't own social media.
Right.
It is great. I'm not eliminating that. I also use social media, but eventually, whoever is following you on social media, you want bring them into your community or into your subscriber base because you own that. Because you don't know, you must have heard LinkedIn jail, Facebook jails, all kinds of things. So people have lost their big accounts and they never recovered back, whatever reason. Either it got hacked or whatever reason. So bring your follower into your subscriber base, nurture them, share your offers, and share your offers because some people have this dogma of not sharing or selling their offers. But your offers are the best thing you can share with your audience because they come easy for you to create because you are passionate about that particular subject, and for other people that might be really the hard area, so they are willing to pay you for that. So
Hmm.
here it is a win-win situation. You are helping them achieve their goal and you are creating revenue for yourself. So I think the bundles are really great opportunities, but even speaking opportunities like this podcast and summits, or just go and do the joint webinar. There are so many. I have a free e-course called 27 ways to collaborate. Free e-course. If your
Ah,
audience wants, I can give the link. They
yes,
can get that course, and it's really amazing. And if you are not sure with one strategy, you are not comfortable, don't look at that. There are 26 other strategies you can add up to. So
got
it's
it.
really, yeah. So
Wonderful. Yeah,
I
we'll be
just say, yeah, when you want to start a business on shoestring budget, be prudent. And these are so many free opportunities to collaborate. Take advantage of them.
wonderful. We'll be sure to put that link in the show notes so that
Yeah.
everyone can take advantage of that. So when you talk about your subscribers, are you saying have is there a particular platform you use for subscribers?
Subscribers means basically, I was just saying about like email marketing.
Okay,
So, email marketing means
got it.
basically,
So
okay, people
you've
might be
captured
saying,
so you've captured the information about your customer and they're not sitting on a social media platform. You've captured that information yourself. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, no, for example, I have an Instagram account, I have TikTok account, but then there is you have a link in the bio. So, point them to the link in bio. Link in bio, you can provide them either your paid offer or low ticket offer or even your freebie.
Hmm.
And if you really want to see the seriousness of the opt-in, you can attach a tripwire funnel so that they can. Tripwire funnels are really great because generally my tripwire funnels are valued like $100 and I sell it for $9.
Mm.
So the person who buys, they get a great deal. And for me also means basically I can differentiate between just a freebies seeker or someone who is serious to take charge of their own business. So means this is how they opt in into your community, and they get your freebie. They may not opt in for your tripwire, but at least they get your freebie. And then you can nurture them, you help them, and you share your offer. I initially was really hesitant to sell my offers. So then I just started putting my offers into my PS. Just in PS mention, okay, this is there. I
Mm.
never did a solo email about my offering and selling and all. Never. Everything
Huh.
nurture email and PS. This is my offer. I had many offers. So and I couldn't believe the amount of conversion was happening. I couldn't believe. And when I was setting my own offers, I didn't have my own offers. I just promoted other people's offers because I was convinced about offers, what other people were creating because I was using them. So I shared those offers. And most of the time, I was on the leaderboard for their promotions. On affiliate board, I was leader. And I said, oh my goodness. So I didn't know. So even though you might be thinking not everyone opens every email, yeah, that's perfectly fine. But still, email marketing is the highest ROI generating platform, no doubt about it.
Mm.
Even this podcasting form platform is so good because if you want to meet the elite kind of crowd, podcasting is the best crowd you can ever.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. Wonderful, wonderful. I love everything you just shared about putting your offer in the PS because you didn't feel ready to make it the subject of the email, but realizing that the emails you were sending out, those offers were being taken, so much from the ones you were sending out. So that gave you the knowledge of the success of email marketing, right? Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Well, we have talked about so many wonderful things today. You've dropped so many great gems for our audience. Is there anything that you want to share that perhaps I didn't ask you about that you'll be thinking later? Oh, I wish I had talked about this on the podcast. Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience?
I just want to share to the audience that, they are really blessed to be in your community. Yeah, means, there are two kinds of people. Means basically their mind is always chattering, and then there are people like you who are really calm and collected. And look, means I have I have been in your presence just for 1 hour, but the amount of peace and happiness you transmuted to me, that is amazing. So I'm really, yeah, I really want to say to your audience that they are really grateful, but they are thankful. They are in your community because it is such a blessing. So you are doing a great job. I think keep on doing the great job. And I have a podcast. I cannot wait to interview you. Means if you are
Yeah.
available, I want to interview you because I know you will add a lot of value to my audience. No doubt about it. Because just see, means, you have given me so much of peace and happiness just within 1 hour. So I really applaud to your audience. Means they have done a great choice being part of your community, part of your family. It's a really great choice. Keep up the great work. That is what I would like to say because I never got a chance to talk about you because you kept on asking about me and I kept on
Mhm.
telling about me. But I just want to tell you, I just want to applaud you. I just want to praise the great work you are doing. It's amazing work.
Oh, thank you. I really received that and I thank you for that. So as we close out, Sue, it's typical that we ask our guests a couple of fun personal questions about themselves so our audience gets to know a little bit about the personal side about the person. So I'm going to start. The first one for you is going to be if you could have a conversation with any person from the past, who would that person be for you and why would you choose that person?
Person from the past, is the person from my family or anyone?
Anyone.
I am really thankful and grateful that the two main people in my life, the two closest people in my life, are the best people I ever received in my life. For example, my mom was my hero, and till now, I haven't seen any better human being than her in my life. She's no longer here. So from the past, actually, if I get a chance, I just would like to say thank you because I don't think I said enough thanks to her. But she has been my hero, and I wanted to tell second thing means I married my husband because I saw all my mom's qualities in him.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so even he has been a blessing. And let me tell you, neither my mom nor my husband, they are perfect, but they are perfect for me.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
I really haven't seen better human being than them for me ever. And I'm really thankful and grateful. And I was talking to my cousin and I said, you know, I'm really I don't know whether you believe in the rebirth, but I always thank my soul in my past life, because past life soul must have done really good karma, good actions. And so I really feel my this life is full of blessings, and I'm really thankful because I started my this life with a great bank balance, because the bank balance I carried was from my past life, past karma.
Mm.
And I'm really thankful and grateful. I just want to make sure that I'll be moving on to the next journey, because I don't think I have arrived to achieve the salvation yet,
Uh-huh.
because I still have to become better at so many other things. I know my weaknesses, I know my flaws.
Uh-huh.
So I'm sure I'm not actually reaching to the salvation. So there will be next journey, but I just want to make sure that my next journey I will start with the bigger bank balance. So I want to make sure that this life I'll do more deposit into my bank. I'll do more karma
Uh-huh.
so that I'll have better life next
So
time.
you start the next one with the big bank balance. Wonderful. Next question. What has been either your what's either your favorite place to travel to or your dream place to travel that you haven't been yet? So favorite if it's somewhere you've been, dream if you haven't been there yet, but you really want to go.
Yeah, favorite places. I am from India, okay?
Mhm.
And I am very spiritual person, and I studied many religions. Many religions. I studied Buddhism. I studied Bible for many years, and of course, I studied Bhagavad Gita, and I'm writing books on spirituality and entrepreneurship. I have written 7 books combining spirituality and entrepreneurship. But there is a really special connection between me and Europe. I have no idea why. I have no idea why. I remember I was telling actually my family that the moment I reached to Florence, and Florence actually we went by train from Rome. Actually, no, we were on a cruise, and we took train and we went to Florence. And I got out of the train station and I saw the Duomo, and I have no idea what got into my heart, and I still cannot express those feelings. And it's not like that I'm Christian, but there is some special connection between me and any church I visit, any basilica I visit, any Duomo I visit. And the most used sentence in my life journey is Jesus' last sentence, that God, please forgive them, they don't know what they are doing. Because
Mm.
as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, you will be put down by so many people, and people may be rude with you and all. So at that time, if you want to maintain your sanity, that is the sentence I used most in my life, especially in my
Mm.
solopreneur journey.
Mm.
So I think my favorite place it's all the places I visited in Europe, and it's not like that I'm putting India down, but I don't know, something happens in my heart whenever it's the Dumo is a special experience. I feel it as if
Ah.
it is in front of me, and it is giving me nice vibes. But means I had the similar experience even when I went to St. Peter's Basilica and all. It's a totally different experience. I just cannot explain that.
Ah.
And the place which I would like to visit, my husband and I, we love to travel. So
Uh-huh.
the no, my husband is retired. He took early retirement, so he just retired, and the only thing he talks during his retirement, and now he's at home. So his free time, only thing he talks about the next trip where we are traveling. And this also we always think that okay, the God has created great universe, and we need to go and
Yeah.
explore all these things. So oh, there are so many. places which I never been. For example, my whole family has been to Japan many times, but I never been to Japan. So I want to go to
Oh,
Japan. I
yeah,
want to go to Iceland. I want to go to Antarctica. I want to go to so many places. And
yeah.
yeah, one life should be enough. Hopefully, I don't know, or it may not be enough. Yeah, but there are many, many places I want to go.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, what was your favorite childhood game?
My childhood game.
Yes.
My childhood game. It's growing up. We didn't even have television at our home.
Uh-huh.
So we we used to have early dinner, or you can say supper and all. And after dinner, my whole family, we always played cards.
Ah,
Yeah, we always played cards, and that was a really great pastime for us. And no, I see the advantages of playing cards. I didn't know that before because that time, hey, that was the only thing we could play. But it seems it keeps your brain active, and yeah, it is like a anti-aging and all. I didn't know all those things. I really didn't know all these things. And during childhood, I loved everything because I had interest in each and everything. I would just go out because we always played in our courtyard and backyard, and we didn't have any computer games that time. So it was all like physical games. And I used
right.
to tag along with my brother, my elder brother, and I used to play with his friends and all the boys' games and all. So there was a lot, but if you want to say that, I really remember playing card games with my family. And even during summer, I remember we used to hop from one friend to other friend, and we used to play different kinds of card games at each one's place.
Uh-huh.
And yeah,
You're right.
I
That
don't
is a
remember
lot of
whether
brain.
I won every game or not, but it was a good pastime.
Yes, and that is a lot of brain activity because you have to be alert. You have to remember who had what and what's being played next. And yeah, so that makes sense. It's great exercise for your brain. Okay, so the final question for you is, what is your favorite food or your favorite meal?
Favorite food or favorite meal? I learned somewhere that. Whenever you look at the food, you ask yourself, if I eat this, whether it is going to hurt me or help me. So there are so many things actually you can choose wisely. You can choose wisely, but if I'm thrown anywhere in the world, and if I'm just given just soup and salad, I will be a happy camper.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be a totally happy camper because I know just with soup and salad with various combinations, uh, I can make my food healthy and I can nourish my body.
Mm,
I really can. Just now I told you we came back from Washington, D.C., and my husband and I, we were actually, we have timeshare. So we had a special breakfast in the morning, and we also had a owner's lounge in the evening. So the only meal which we had outside was a lunch meal.
mm-hmm.
But for lunch also, we just made sure that we were looking for the salad places. So
Mm,
because we know if we are making a choice, then that choice has to help us because we have to nourish our body. So you throw me anywhere, any part of life, I will look for the choices where I can get the healthiest soup and salad. And now we are planning a tour, actually trip in India, and we are planning to go there for 2-3 months.
uh-huh,
So my husband is concerned about the hygiene, whether can we get the really good quality salad there or not and all.
uh-huh.
And we are finding a ways for that. But you throw me any part of the world and I will be happy just with that.
Got it, got it. Soup and salad. Wonderful, wonderful choice.
Yeah, because see, because of that meal, my husband was on prescription medicine. Now he doesn't need to take any medicine.
Mm,
I studied pharmacology back home. I was doing PhD in pharmacology. And more I studied pharmacology, I realized that you shouldn't be taking any medicine. Because every medicine you take, it has the side effect. I remember asking my guide that these medicines, they are full of side effects. First couple of paragraphs for the use of medicine, and after that, pages and pages are counter reaction. So I asked my guide, why do we prescribe these medicines? So my guide replied that these medicines are designed only for emergency. They are not designed for long term use.
Hmm.
And then I joined a really big pharmaceutical company, very, very big. I was into their R&D department. I went for their meetings, and the talk of every meeting was how to get someone on their medicine and put that person on that medicine for lifelong. Then
Yes.
I thought this is a misconnect. This is not what I want to serve. And I quit pharmaceutical without a- any thinking. And now my actually classmates, whenever they meet and they say, hey, you won't believe how much money in pharmaceuticals. Everyone who stayed in pharmacy is a millionaire right now. So I said, means basically I don't I'm not against being millionaire. No, I am one. Yeah. But that is not my goal. Means I should do something that satisfy my soul. Means I cannot be happy by hurting other person.
Right,
And
right,
when I my state of mind that how I can put this person lifelong on this particular medicine, even though I know it is going to hurt that person, because you take any medicine, you take any diabetic medicine, you take any cholesterol medicine, it is affecting your liver, it is affecting your kidney, it is affecting. I don't want to go into all of that, but I don't want to become rich by hurting other person.
right, right. I definitely agree. A lot of time, just seeing the commercials, I wonder how did you decide this would be the final product of this medicine when it has all these side effects? To me,
Yeah,
that means it's not right. It's not worth being on the market, but somehow it
yeah,
gets on the market, but it's yeah, it makes a lot of sense when you hear, oh, this is for emergencies. But the
yeah. I'm
pharmaceutical,
not against that strategy, but it is only for emergency, means basically.
right, right. But
It has to affect the root cause. If you take a medicine, it shouldn't mask the symptom. It should cure the root cause.
right, exactly. Okay, well, Sue, it's been wonderful again having this time with you, learning about everything you do to help solopreneurs. We'll be sure to put your links in the show notes so that our audience can get in contact with you and enjoy some of those freebies you have and some of your great offerings. I love your spirit and what you do for solopreneurs, saving time because we know time is like the most luxurious commodity. It cannot be replaced. Once it's gone, it's gone. So if you're able to eliminate 6 months down to 6 hours, wow, you've done so much for us solopreneurs. So that's why I'm excited that you agreed to come here and just share that information with us. So thank you again so much. I really
Thanks for
appreciate
the
it.
opportunity. Yeah, really. It's a blessing to be with you, means I learned so much just within 1 hour from you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.